DoTheDream Oluwatoyin Aromire. Over to you.
Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this event. This is indeed a very great event, and we're glad to have all of you join us. And we really appreciate that you've been able to take out time, to spend with all of us here as we share this wonderful time with the youth and spread our voice and our words out there to the youth. So without further ado, I think I'll just have to proceed and I hope we'll enjoy this event. So I've got 15 minutes to get through this, through what I have to say, but I'll aim to do that in 10 minutes just in case we have questions from everyone. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll primarily be talking to you all about youth engagement for global action. And before I start, I'll just give a very brief summary about myself so that we all get to know who we are. My name is Toyin Aromire, and I'm one of the founding members of DoTheDream and the current president. I'm based in the UK. I'm the executive chairman at a company called Altex, which is an IT company. Over the last 10 years plus, we at DoTheDream as a team, we've seen the organization grow from strength to strength in our pursuit and in our vision to help educate the youth so that we could build a nation. We've been able to achieve all of these things through all the events we've put together for the youth, through entrepreneurial activities that we've put together for the youth, and through partnering with various individuals, institutions, and governments to help amplify the voice of the youth. It is my hope that this event will be one of those events where we're able to celebrate the youth globally and help to further amplify the voice of our youths and give them some hope, that truly the future belongs to them. And I'd like to start with a very short story for some of our youths here. And it's not really a true story, but it's a story that I hope will help to drive some of the points and some of the values and some of the lessons that we're hoping that they will get from joining this event today and tomorrow. So please bear with me as I go through this very, very short story. It's a story about a set of twins. This set of twins received like a prophecy when they were born. And, the prophecy was that one of them will become rich and the other will become poor. As I go along, you see what point I'm trying to drive at. So as we would like to see, the fortunate, I would like to call one of the twins, the rich one, the fortunate twin Richie, and the other one, the unfortunate twin Hope. So as the year goes by, what we found out was twin Richie, who's supposed to be the rich one based on the prophecy, believed very, strongly that he was destined to be rich, and he didn't take any action. He didn't do anything different, from what the ordinary person would do. While his twin, called Twin Hope, went out there, put in all the hard work, put in all the effort, did everything, faced challenges, made a point of decision that he wasn't going to die a poor man. To cut the long story short, in the end, Twin Hope, was able to achieve a lot more. He was able to eventually become wealthy, become well-known, become well-respected with great skills. But Twin Richie, not so much. So what point am I trying to get out of this story? As in, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to imply by this story? And how does it tie in with our engagement, with the theme of this event, which is youth engagement for global action? So this is what I'm trying to say. A prophecy or a motivational word is no longer enough to drive our youth. It's no longer enough to encourage them. The youth are no longer waiting for a false promise or a failed promise. We'll find that most of them have now taken matters into their hands to create a future for themselves. And they understand that it's important for them to work as hard as possible and to do whatever it takes to achieve their dreams. However, there's still some who believe in that hope, who believe in that story, in that motivation, in that failed promise, in that prophecy, and because of their strong belief in the failed promises, some of them don't take the required action because they believe sometimes people have to do things for them. And sometimes it becomes a bit late when they come to the realization that these are all failed promises, But then one thing is our youths, they need to understand that sometimes we need to have dreams. We need to create our own future, but we need to work as hard as possible and remain resilient in order for us to see that happen. There's really no shortcut to success. It's not one of those Hollywood or Bollywood movie where success happens in 2 hours. Our youths need to understand that there's going to be a journey, and the journey sometimes will be long, sometimes it will be challenging, and sometimes they will hit a brick wall with nowhere to turn. One of the things I also, want to get out of this is the youths need to have a solution-only mentality. And what I mean by this is we want them to be able to focus on solutions to problems rather than focus on the problem itself. And we want them to understand that there's a place for hard work. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone didn't remember to put that on mute, so apologize for that. I'll just turn that off. And one of the things, I'm trying to say with this story is we want them to understand that there's a place for hard work, focus, and dedication, as well as planning for the long term. But in the end, this is always rewarding. So what am I implying with all these stories and all what I'm saying? What I'm trying to get out of all of this is to encourage the youth, to help them to understand that there are opportunities out there. Sometimes we need to take the bull by the horns. It may be hard, it may be difficult, but we need to do what's necessary. And the youth have a part to play in all of this, but they need some form of involvement and encouragement from the leaders, from the top. And, one of the things that can be discouraging for the youth is working so hard, trying to get to the top, and then they get there, but find out that those that are there are not willing to help them move forward. They're not willing to encourage them to achieve more for themselves. Now, the truth is our youth will thrive no matter what happens if they are determined. But they need to have this opportunity. They need to go out and be able to use their skills. They need to be encouraged to use and build their creativity, and they need to be determined. Our youth need leaders. They need leaders to help steer them when they go in the wrong direction. And sometimes they will go in the wrong direction themselves. They will make mistakes. Sometimes they will fail. But with proper leadership and guidance, we believe that the leaders will be able to help the youth steer their path when they miss that road, when they miss the journey. They will help them, to understand where they can make amends. And they will also help them to understand the value in thriving, surviving, and in building legacy. Now, how is all of this relevant to the theme of this event? We have leaders in all spheres of life, in different institutions at different levels, but we need them to start engaging with the youth. It's not enough, to just create positions in industries, in the government as a way to address our youth. One of the things I understand is there has to be some form of accountability, transparency, and a culture of lessons learned and continuous improvement. And the responsibility doesn't lie in the hands of our youth alone, because they're already doing as much as they can, given their limited resources, given environmental influences, and sometimes the lack of access to opportunities. But they're doing as much as they can, which is the truth. Now, this is a global issue, and the leaders around the world should be able to come together and make a concerted effort to help educate the youth, to help mentor the youth, create opportunities for the youth, create an environment where all our youth, can learn, experiment, fail fast, and gain the experience they need to build their confidence and to achieve their goals. When all of this is done, I believe we can truly say we are now educating our youth, we're building future leaders, and we're helping them and helping ourselves to build a nation, to build our countries, and to build the world to make it a better place. Now, I'm not going to take all our time today, but in summary, what I'm trying to say, or what I've said, is motivational words no longer, it's no longer enough for our youth. It's no longer enough to encourage our youth. Although some will still put their trust in failed promises in motivational words, and they may end up disappointed if they don't take action. I'm also saying that there are opportunities out there, but the youth and our leaders have a part to play in making this a reality. And finally, I'm saying this is a global issue. It's not just focused on one country or a nation or a local agency. It's a global issue, and we need leaders around the world to come together to engage with the youth and show them a better way. Now, before I drop off and let everyone else, ask questions or also contribute, I would like to leave, the youth who are on this call, who are in this session, with parting tips. The first one is a note of warning, and the second one is something to help solidify that warning. So as a note of warning, I would like to encourage our youth to avoid short-term thinking. That's thinking things are going to happen and be resolved in the short term. Things don't normally work like that. There's a process. But by saying that, I'll also leave them with 3 tips, to help them when they're making decisions about the future, about long-term planning, and about finding solutions. After all, I've said they need to have a solutions-only mentality. And I do apologize that I'm going to be using acronyms as my way to put those tips forward. It happens in technology. We love acronyms. So the first thing I would like to say as a way to help solidify that thinking that we should stop short-term thinking and focus on long-term planning is something I would like to call the CSCS. That's Charlie Sierra, Charlie Sierra. And what I mean by that is when they are thinking about solutions, one of the things they need to think about is, what do we want to change? That's the first one. And then what should we start if we're going to make a change? Or where should we start? And then what are the things we need to continue? And finally, what do we need to stop? But when they are thinking about all of these things, what to change, what to start, what to continue, and what to stop, they also need to think win, wah, win. So what I mean by that is WHN, WHA, WHN. And what that means is they need to think, what happens next? So for every decision we make, what happens next? And then what happens after what happens next? That way they start thinking future rather than what happens next and stopping at that. And then finally, they need to think in 3 I's, which is what can be implemented today and what is the impact of implementing those things. And finally, what are the implications of taking actions or implications of implementing those things? So I hope this very short speech is able to do a little bit of justice to the theme of today, to the events of today and tomorrow. And I'm hoping that at the end of today, all the youth who are joining this session will be able to take away valuable and practical insights from this 2 days event, because there are wonderful and great people here who who have a lot to contribute to all the youths. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer that as we move to the next guest speaker.
Thank you so much, the chairman of Do the Dream. That's an excellent presentation, wonderful and magnificent one. I'm so happy to actually learn more from you. I've known you for quite a lot of years now, and it has always been from glory to glory. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move straight to the next presenter, who happens to be Susan Marks. We're going to take all the Q&A at the same time so that we can actually get the best from this event. I believe Susan Marks is ready for us. Are you there? Are you ready? Are you ready for us? Because I'm just seeing your bio now and I'm like, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Susan Marks, the writer, producer, entrepreneur. She's the president and founder of the social and environmental nonprofit WorldTeamNow, the CEO of startup World Team Building, LLC, and the leader of the global developing multimedia platform. The journey to make World Team crosses through the collective awakening to nature, unity, social, environmental movement in support of what has become the global goals. The World Team project is leading a multi-stakeholder partnership sustainable solutions, ocean opportunities on small island states as part of the Ocean Conference for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. Susan's passion for the environment began as a youth activist. You now see the reason why she has to join us for this event. As a youth activist, and now she focused on demonstrating solutions for humanity to live a better life with nature, perceiving life as work of art, transformation as the primary stroke. Susan graduated from Sarah Lawrence College with BA in Liberal Arts and Psychology. Susan has jungled professional life paths also as journalist, creator, actress, speaker, athlete, teacher, and a coach. Susan's ability to foresee events, generate inspiration, often as she set trends and create iconoclastic global production. She has produced many global outside of the box projects. Wow, since the international production in Japan, 1989, where the vision of the World Team began in Kyoto at Mount Eisen. World Team development began after the promotion with Starlight Express, a group of role skater they needed to work when she was actress. Our first multimedia international project sponsored by Coca-Cola in Japan as part of the Asian Pacific World Exposition, Geocatopia. Susan was the producer of the USA portion of international co-production, but also a performer in Coca-Cola Rock and Rollers. Wow! The roller dance skate show was part of the co-production and performance on the national TV and various ancillary components. The lessons learned from the international co-production inspired World Team Now, and the courage to continue on the journey and team broad. Wow, I have a lot now, but I will have to stop now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Susan Marks to this wonderful event today. Wow, awesome. Wow, you've got to unmute yourself. You've got to unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
I apologize. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much for that incredible introduction, and way too much of me, because this is about you, the youth, and what you're going to do. And I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. And I appreciate everything that has come before, what you're sharing about Do the Dream. And I think this is a time that's really exciting because, you know, I began with the work with World Team, or the call, so to speak, when I was 8 years old. And it was really, I didn't know what to do. There was a garbage strike in New York City, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I knew that something was wrong when the garbage was higher than I was. And I thought, wow, there's something we can do to change this. And I didn't know what that was, but when I got back to my school, we had a garbage cleanup. And that was the beginning of many, many things that were just very simple actions that I could take, that I learned that I could take, to have the courage to take, to make a difference. And it started with just, what do I do? This is a simple thing, like, what do I do in the face of something like a garbage strike in New York, in the United States? We're supposed to be developed. We're supposed to have an awareness. Why is this happening? And I asked my teachers, and they recommended that I write a letter. You know, we had letter writing, and I ended up, this is a short story, that I ended up writing a letter to the President of the United States when I was 10. And I wanted to know, because I kept asking, who's the boss? Who's the boss? Who can I talk to? Who's the parent that's in charge of the ocean? If you're my parent, you know, if someone's my parent, who is in charge of the ocean? Who is in charge of the laws? And ultimately they said, well, the president is who you're going to have to talk to in terms of laws. And I wrote the letter, and I wanted to know what was going to happen when I grew up to the oceans, to the land, to the environment. And it was President Ford at that time. And I got a letter back, which really was a surprise, you know, to get a letter from the White House at that time. And I thought, wow, this is, you know, they made me think like Santa Claus, that this was real, that it was really the president. And I thought having power speak to me made me think that I was important. That was before I realized that the real power comes from within. The real power comes from you discovering, each of you, who you are and the gift that you each have, because you each have something that's very, very special and different that only you have. It's something, and if one other person can get behind one thing that you have, that is the key to what builds the dream and grows the team. So, you know, with WorldTeamNow, I have the nonprofit, and this was way before then. And I had to then speak in front of the school. They wanted me to read the letter to my peers. And I thought, oh my goodness, it was one thing to get the letter. It was another thing to be totally afraid of public speaking. I mean, that's something that a lot of people are afraid of. And I was petrified. And just getting up there and doing that changed my life, because it just gave me the courage to take that step to speak up. And so part of it for me that I realized is being able to articulate what the dream is, what the call is, and most of the youth that are coming in, I experience, you all already are wired to technology. You all are already compassionate about the environment and have a sense of one another in a way that the next generation did not have, my generation. And so you're coming in with an advantage, and your intuition for your future is right on. And if you can start to empower yourself, regardless of what country, what gender, and this is specifically about women. I want to speak to the young women, because in many, many countries, women don't have the opportunity, and in my country too, it's not just because it's developed. In fact, one of the things that's so hard about the United States is we have developed with a priority of materialism, that some of the priorities right now with nature to just live in balance I look at regions like Africa or the Pacific Island region and say, you're at an advantage because you already have a relationship to nature. You already have a relationship to water. You already have a relationship to certain things that you know are important and essential. Whereas in the United States, it can become, or in a developed region, it's so easy to become programmed with technology for that consumption model, for that just materialistic model, when the real values are the values within, the truth, the compassion, the patience, the persistence, the ability to have prudence, trust. These virtues are things that aren't necessarily taught in school. And they are common in almost all religions. They do all bring out, and in families, ideally. And so it's to find that essence and use that inside the Sustainable Development Goals. And so I think it's really a time, you know, when I see this as, from all the projects I've done, which are workout for the earth. You know, you could do a workout for the earth. You can do a cleanup for the earth. You can do that for the oceans. But it's how do you turn those into something that will give you the resources you need? And that is the tricky part, because so many times in our world, we've gone to jobs that are jobs that are carved out for us instead of looking for the strength within. What are my gifts? Can I write? Can I tell a good story? Where is my passion? What am I passionate about? And to find that element inside of each person, inside of each of you, that to me is where it starts. And to find that call. And that call happened for me with World Team was to use media to television, because I knew that media, can be used for a lot of different things. We're seeing that right now. It can be used to bond, it can be used to deceive, it can be used for a lot of things. But these sustainable development goals, each one of them have an opportunity, eradicating poverty. And poverty, sometimes I think getting to poverty, that is one of the most challenging things, because I think poverty of spirit often happens in a developed region, and people aren't even aware of that. So the poverty of having love inside oneself and for the world and for nature is where it begins. And I think you all that are youth know that already, because it's something that I think you're coming in with. And I just want to encourage, especially the women, to find that special something that is what you can give, what is unique to you. And with World Team, for me, it was, it took me a long time I was in Japan, to actually hear that this concept of using that media to television. And now that's what's happening. We can't, because of the multiple crises we're facing globally, collectively, the only way we're meeting is not face-to-face. I mean, it's face-to-face virtually, but we're not in contact. So the vision with World Team was people from different regions of the world, because of the diversity that is so diverse culture in each country and each religion and each experience that you all have that's unique to you, going to serve not just their home, but a region that wants the guidance, just generally loving and showing and learning from the diversity in action. So that was really the goal on the project. And that's what I really want to encourage at a time when we're looking at equality. We're looking at water, sanitation. We're looking at teamwork, team building. We're looking at all of these different virtues inside of the goals. And we have till 2030. And obviously that's going to go really probably to 2050. We committed our goal through 2050, because hopefully we can reach it by 2030. And I'm here to say that it'll be up to you guys to do that. Because this generation, my generation, did not, we talked it, we could see it, some of us, but because of various limitations, and I had resources, there were resources available, but there was so much patterns, so many patterns that we're not even aware of in each culture. We come in with family patterns in roles as women, as young women, and as men, and we come in with cultural patterns from each of the countries. And it's so hard to separate out those things that seemingly might limit, and find that freedom and find that place where you can be self-expressed and free and give back. And it's inside that service model, inside of giving back, that all resources do come back. And that's one of the things that if I could pass on one thing, it would be dare to dream that dream. And it is the time where right now that it's the blue and the green, we have economic that are based on just the M, the money. And we use, in World Team, we use the acronym time, energy, action, and money. They're all equal resources. We have a world that's established the priority of money. That's our common way of communicating. But your time is just as valuable. Your energy, your health, the electrical grid, the energy that we have inside of us that comes through us, and our ability to act. You can be like Nelson Mandela or Aung San Suu Kyi and be imprisoned and have the time and the energy, but not able to act. You have the ability to act no matter what you have right now, no matter what obstacles. And everybody has an obstacle that thinks inside of themselves, that thinks I can't go forward with that. And the key is looking at that, embracing that, and doing the opposite of that. Going forward past that. Anyway, I think that's my time. I want to thank you for just listening. And I just want to say that team works, time, energy, action, and money, and be that change, that cliche that you want to see. And together we can do it if we all do it. Thank you. I think you're muted. I don't know.
Awesome and magnificent presentation. Awesome and magnificent presentation from Susan Max. Thank you so much for that beautiful and awesome presentation. You see, there are beautiful take-ups from that. Teamwork and the inspiring story of writing a message to the President of the United States at the age of 10 actually speaks so much the kind of personality you communicate. Thank you so much. Please, we're going to be having an interactive session with every of the speaker in few minutes. But before we do that, the next speaker is our wonderful personality. What's up? Mrs. Yemi Sholoton. She's based in Houston, Texas, the CEO of Havilah Concept. Oh, you must listen to this wonderful personality. Peak performance expert, a lovely personality who always believe in forward and upward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to welcome you. Over to you, Mrs. Sholoton, if you can hear me. Over to you.
Yes, I can very much hear you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. I want to thank the president of the team, and actually, I think I should start with the founder, the executive director, Mr. Olumadiwa. Thank you so much for having me. The president, all the participants, board of trustees, my fellow speakers here, and all protocols observed. Thank you so much. It's an opportunity. And like I said earlier before we started, I do not take it for granted. I am so super excited to be here. Thank you so much. World Team, it's great to meet you here. So I'm hoping that we do one or two things together in the future. I am the CEO of Havilah Concepts. Like you said, Havilah Concepts is a business. It's a for-profit business. We're into event consulting, life coaching, and public relations. But on the flip side, on the other side of that is also that I also founded and I run a nonprofit that is called Diamond in the Dust. And I will get to that in a moment. For me, when I saw the theme of this year's celebration of the International Youth Day, that we wanted to engage the youth, we wanted the youth to engage, I also felt that I thought of where I should come from. Which perspective should I handle this from, because like the president said earlier on in his opening remarks, he said that the youth, they're tired of being motivated, and they're tired of being told you can do this, you can do that, but nothing is being done actually to engage them. Well, I want to say to that, okay, so that may be true, but sometimes there is hope. When you tell somebody that they can do it, there is hope there, and it keeps the person going, in knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And so having said that, according to the United Nations, we have over 1.8 billion youth all over the world, 1.8 billion over that. And in every country, they form the majority. They form the majority of the citizenship of the people. And so we cannot put the place of the youth in the background. It is not just possible. You know, they have to be in the forefront of everything. They have to be involved. They have to be engaged. Whether we like it or not, the youth must be engaged in everything that we do. For a very long time, the youth has been placed in the backside. They've been placed, you know, like maybe they don't matter, or we don't need them. We need the experience. The youth doesn't have the experience, but they do have experience, because what we are referring to as experience in most countries nowadays, the experience is based on corruption. The experience is based on selfishness. The experience is not based on the heart of service. And so when you say, when the country or you know, all around the world, when they say that they don't need the youth has no experience, then we are saying that the experience of bad leadership that has gone on for so long, from decade to decade, is what we want to keep recycling. And that is not what is needed. We need to bring to the fore the experience, the new ones, from the youth, you know, from the heart of service, from the heart that is hopeful for a change. So the youth are more at the forefront now. That's the good news. We see them taking on roles in government. You know, they are taking on public offices. They are doing something. They're actually engaging. Just very few of them, though. We want to take it further. We want them to do more. But we're grateful that they're taking their place now. They're doing things, you know. So what is my recommendation here today? I want to come from the angle of giving the time that is needed from the youth. I want to come from the angle of volunteerism. I want to come from the angle of giving your skill set without being paid for it. And I say this with all carefulness, because I know that somebody may say, you know, I'm looking for a job. I'm a youth. I just got out of college. How can you ask me to give my skill set for free? Now, the law does not permit that you give your skill set for free to for-profit companies or organizations. So what you want to look at is the opportunity to give your time and volunteer in public sectors, because that would help in propelling you towards the, you know, the achievement of the goal that you have in your heart. Now, to volunteer means to really offer. You want to offer something. You want to do something. You want to do something to change the narrative. And that is why you're here right now. Part of volunteering is what you're doing, what the DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative, what they're doing right now is volunteering their time. It is volunteering their skill set, their effort. The president is an IT professional. He's putting that together. The founder is doing something, is putting all of this together. Everyone is volunteering something. And so that's what I mean by that. It is offered to do something freely. You have not been coerced to be here. You have not been put under duress to say you must sit down here and listen to this and take something away from this. You're here out of your own volition. You're here out of your own time. And it is very important to know that it is your social responsibility that drives this. The social responsibility is often what drives what you're doing here today. You know, volunteering validates your heart of service. I like to talk about volunteering a lot because I have seen it change so many lives. Globally, if we can take it seriously and just know that when we give also, we get something in return. I'll tell you a little story about myself when it comes to volunteering and why I am so passionate about it. I'm just so passionate about volunteering. A few years ago, I was already like maybe 44 or 45 years old at that time. I know I don't look old. Thank you very much. I don't look that old. Thank you very much. But, you know, back to seriousness, about 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was about 6 years ago, I looked at everything and I just wanted to make a change in my community in the Houston area where I had been living for close to 10 years. You know, I saw that our people, my people of Nigerian descent, were not being involved in the community activities. And I wanted to do something about that. I didn't know what to do, but I would say that God provided that opportunity somehow. I handled an event for a company from my for-profit. I handled it and I volunteered my services. It was pro bono. I didn't get paid for it, but because it was a non-profit organization, I wanted to be a part of the cause. I wanted to support the cause that they had laid out. And so I joined and we did this event. And at that event, there was a member of the House of Representatives of the United States Congress, and she came to give a speech. And after we were done, this lady, a senior member of the House of Representatives, asked for my business card, and I was so surprised. And she said, you know, I've been watching how you put all of this together, and I'm just interested in having your card. And I told her my card was in my car in the parking garage. She said, go get it. I'll be right here waiting. But the personal assistant said, ma'am, you can go on. I will get the card for you. But she insisted. She said, no, I'm going to wait right here. I want her card. And that was how she got my card. And she gave me a call a few days later. To cut a long story short, I became involved in what was being said, what was going on. I will find myself in rooms that I wonder how I got there in the first place. And before then, I applied to our office to be a senior intern. I'd never heard of that word before, or that term. I just wanted to be an intern, but because I knew I was probably too old to be an intern. I wasn't 18, I was 20 years old, but I said, let me just go in there. And so I applied, I said, to be a senior intern. And I was interviewed, I was accepted. And so I started working there as an intern. In addition to my business, I would give a few hours in the week. And fast forward, I have served on several steering committees on projects that will benefit families and women and, you know, and corporations in the Houston area. And I've gone ahead to even start a nonprofit that is called Diamond in the Dust that I mentioned earlier on. And what we do there is we help people to achieve their vision from where they are to get to where they need to be. Now there's a lot in between there, from your why to your end goal. But that is a summary of what volunteering can do. I never got paid for that time that I spent there, but I get paid by the networks that I've made, by the connections that I've made. Most of the time, to volunteer means that you're working side by side with somebody. You're working side by side with others. And so this connects you a common goal. So as we are here right now, we are volunteering our time. We're getting to know one another. We're getting to know different people. We don't know what might come out of this meeting. We don't know what might come out of this relationship. That's what volunteering births. It births relationships. When you volunteer, you're making connections. You're connected with the community. You're connected with the problem and the solution as well. You know, I keep referring to the president because he spoke very well in the beginning. He talked about you being part of the solution now. And so I take it further by saying you are part of the problem at that time, and then you're also part of the solution. You see a problem, and then you step up to say, I'm going to volunteer my skill set to see what I can do. So in rounding up now, I want you to take a minute. If for a youth, I mean, if it doesn't matter what age you are, I believe that you can do anything at the age of 100, it doesn't matter. So take a minute to think about using your time to volunteer in an organization in your community. Do that. Be sure to be involved with an organization or activity that is meaningful to you. That is how to do it. I'll give you a few pointers and I'll round up. A few pointers for deciding the type of volunteering work that's right for you. First of all is you've got to find a passion. What speaks to you? What do you like to do? What excites you? What wakes you up in the morning? What drives you? What's your passion? Is there something happening in your local community or overseas that breaks your heart? Maybe you're seeing some inequality. You just feel that this is not good enough. It's happening in this country. And I think if I think deeper too, it's happening in my country, in my community. What can I do about that? I give my time and I look for an organization that is taking care of that. And I join them and do maybe 5 hours in a week or, whatever time you're able to spare. So your passion, find your passion, and also consider your talents. What special skills or talents do you bring to the table? Use that, like I mentioned earlier on. You're into IT. Are you into organizing? Are you into organizing? Are you into event planning? Are you into, what is it, life coaching? What is it? What are the talents that you have? Do you work well with your hands? Are you creative? Do you like to study laws and policies? Look for a public sector where you can volunteer, first of all, and that connects you. Then you must honor that commitment. When you say, I would do it, I want to give my time, you must honor that commitment because you're busy with other things. So if you're giving your time and you're saying, I'm going to go and spend 5 hours in a week, then make sure that you're there, that you're committed, because that shows your heart of commitment, shows your heart of service. And so what you're doing in all of this as you're giving your time is you're building your resume. You're building your resume for when you would say, I'm here now. When a country like Finland says, we need a youth ambassador from Africa, you have a resume, you have a portfolio already to say, I served here as a volunteer, I gave my time, I did this. Or for example, the United States is looking for an ambassador, an African ambassador. They're not gonna come into your village or your, to get you. But if you've already been working and you submit your resume, they see all of that and that speaks for you. And I must say, finally, that as you're building your resume, you are also building a legacy for yourself. You're building a legacy for your generation. And there is nothing else that tops that. Nothing tops that. Why you're here on this planet is to do something with your time. It is to do something with your life. It is to find your purpose. And your purpose is probably in serving others. And in serving others, you're building a legacy. Thank you all so much for your time.
Wow. Awesome and magnificent presentation.
Well done.
From Yemi Sholoton. Thank you so much for that beautiful presentation. Wow, volunteering. Wow, that's huge. She made a statement that if you volunteer, you actually building your legacy, you're building your resume, and that's a big deal. Thank you for that beautiful presentation. We're actually moving so fast and we are still on schedule. What we have next is the question and answer session. And I have some of our ambassadors who has been with Do the Dream for over 10 years, over 15 years, over 10 years rather. We have some of them online now. We're talking about the founder and the CEO of Workload NG is actually online now. Nelson Izar. I'm talking about Ayomikun Ayodeji of Treasure Thrift International. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to be asking you're going to be facilitating this interactive session with some of our great speakers, and I believe they have some questions that need answers. Over to you, Nelson and Ayo. First of all, can I have Ayomiku first, if you can hear me? Can you hear me, Ayo? Can you hear me, Ayo? Over to you, Nelson. Can you hear me? It seems Ayo is having some technical issue. Can you hear me, Nelson?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Audio.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Audio.
Hello.
Over to you. You can.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Nelson. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Workload NG. So, what we do, we help to connect local artisans, youths who have skill sets, and also help in training them to become better to potential customers. Another thing we also.
Oh, seems we lost that. Can you come? Are you here now? All right. To the speaker, Edison is asking, how can one find a good establishment? Are you back? Hello? Okay, we'll have to stop it now. I would like to put this to our great speaker. Edison is asking, how can one find a good establishment to volunteer?
Yes, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that question. So you look at, like I said, you have your passion, you have your talents and everything that you want to take into consideration, those factors that you want to volunteer in. For example, if you love animals, you're not going to don't go volunteer in an organization that is for the elderly. If you love animals, look for organizations that take care, maybe animal shelter, for example. So that would be a place where your passion will help you to be productive. If you love the environment, like Susan does, you can volunteer in an organization that, the World Team organization, she's into saving the environment, making sure that the environment is well taken care of. So if you love the environment, you have to look at your passion. And having said that, so that drives you to being able to identify the organizations that would need your services. I still do. I love social reform. I love to see change in the community. And so I had to look for a public office that would take care of that for me. And so on a daily basis, I enjoyed listening to what citizens or constituents had to say or what they needed, and making sure that the member of the House of Representatives was able to meet those needs, because that is my area of passion. That's what I love to do. So that is one way that you can find an organization that would work, that you can give your time to. You have to let it key in with your skill set or your passion. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Susan, someone has a question for you. Susan, someone is having, okay. I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, the fellow said, what are the opportunities available for young people in ocean?
Ah, great question. Thank you for asking that. The ocean is actually one of the areas that I have the most passion. There's a number of organizations, including ours, that is doing work on the oceans. We actually have a multi-stakeholder partnership around the oceans, and there's different kinds of nonprofits, and some of the key issues with the oceans right now have to do with sustainable fishing, because in a lot of regions of the world, the fish are competing, artisanal fishing are competing with farmed fishing and the regulations of that. So we have sustainable fishing, we have plastics and the cleanup of plastics and making people aware of that and actually cleaning that up. Then there's getting into the biodiversity of the species in the oceans. Like what I do almost daily is to swim with the dolphins and to become intimate, so you get to identify the species and the challenges they're having. Another one is cleaning up. I mean, there's many forms of cleanup on the ocean that's needed. Mangroves is another area that we're focused on. Many people don't realize that mangroves are the most important. People think it's the rainforest. It is the rainforest, but mangoes clean the air 3 times more than the rainforest. So people don't know that. They actually, absorb the CO2. So they are breathing and they are cleaning our air and our water. So, and I think the other, of course, is, one of our partners, they deal with actually education, learning about everything from diving to, different things like that. And coral reefs. The reefs are a very important aspect of the healthy ocean. Another one is acidification, ocean acidification, and that comes from like sargassum or the things that are seaweed being washed up. So you have to find what it is. Do you want to clean up? Do you want to, like in our case, I'm working on an ocean curriculum. Do you want to actually inspire people to learn how to be in the ocean more and have greater respect for the ocean? And, I think of the ocean a lot about with the breath, we're thinking about breathing a lot, and the ocean breathes. So there's so many opportunities to get to be intimate with the ocean. Those are a few. I'm happy to, you can email me at info@worldteamnow.org, and happy to share more about opportunities, ocean opportunities. And there's a myriad of organizations. If you go onto the United Nations Ocean Conference site under goal number 14, you will see, or the link that we have, I can put that in the chat. There's a lot of ocean projects, a lot of nonprofits, all ages, doing incredible things, from using drones to do illegal pirating, so if you want to enforce law. So there's a lot of things with the ocean. And boundaries, law of the sea, the boundaries of the sea, that's a big issue that hasn't been, we have these country boundaries, but a lot of people don't realize the law of the sea still hasn't been worked out. The UN's still working on it. We can drop bombs in the middle of the ocean, unfortunately. So anyway, we are working on that. So there are a lot of areas that we can use reform and change. Okay.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, for that. Thank you so much. Awesome. To the chairman, president of Do the Dream, Idayi is asking, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Idayi is asking, how do you stay with hope when it looks like there's no hope towards progression?
That's a very, very, very interesting question, and a very good question at that as well. I think the concept of hope, sometimes could mean you're not sure of what's going to happen, but you believe strongly and firmly in what you want to do. Now, there's this thing I like to say, and I can't remember who said it, was one of these great speakers. When the opportunity is right, and when you are prepared for that opportunity, everything works together to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So sometimes you need to take the first step in the right direction, right? And you also need to look out, or look for people who have gone through that path in the past. Reach out to those people. Reach out to people you sort of admire, or you think they've achieved a lot as well, and you would like to be like them. And tell them what you're looking to do. Tell them what you're looking to achieve. But you need to take that first step. There's no such thing as sitting down, folding your hands, and hoping. If you hope and you put in the action, you need a lot of action, massive action. If you hope and you put in the action, and you actually have a plan of action, and you know what you want to do, there's always that potential that you'll find people who believe in what you're doing. You'll find help and support out there, or you'll find someone who takes interest in what you're looking to do. But first, you need to put that action. You need to take that action.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Edison is raising his hand up. I would like to unmute him now so that I can ask his question. Are you there, Edison? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. It's a privilege to be part of this great, awesome meeting today. I want to first and foremost appreciate the organizers of the event. I came in very late because I was attending to some issues. I'm Idayi Edison from Sokoto. I coordinate Young and Useful Generations Initiative. My question was answered by Auntie Yemi, but not totally, considering the kind of environment that we are. I'm bold and privileged to tell this house that for 11 years, this year makes it the 11th year, I've been organizing single-handedly our organization, the Leadership Summit for Young People. This year, October 17th, will be the 11th year. One of the constraints we have had is that when you present matters affecting a lot of people, constitutional issues before everyone here, people bring in religious affiliation, especially when they want to sound biased. That is why I'm asking, how do you get a place to volunteer that will not create a barrier to your selfless service, your passion, and what you're doing? On the 12th of March this year, before COVID-19 came in full force, we had at the planning at the beginning of towards the end of last year, as part of our program for this year, to organize women voice counts, to look at prevailing issues that are affecting young ladies. We're actually looking at issues of domestic violence and rape. And when we make a publication out, people started castigating against it, that it doesn't exist here. As I'm talking to you, this environment where we are is most heat in any part of the country. I have been here for about 13 years now. I stand to be corrected in what I'm saying. And people play down on it. Only for a few months later, we started hearing cases of rape, cases of incest, cases of things that are affecting the women food at the home front. Some matters were even brought before Child Protection Network, which we also belong to, and some issues were taken to court. And because of the influence of those that were involved, they squashed some of those cases and they threatened the people that were affected. So I'm asking this afternoon in this house, number one, sorry, can I continue?
You can.
Number one, how do we get an organization? I like volunteering as well. In 2011, I was with Leap Africa for a training to acquire and build my capacity on something like this. It's something I'm passionate about: environment, health issues, and leadership issues among young people. Unless we teach our younger generation, we may not be able to network with other parts of the globe and achieve the aim we want to achieve for our people. Look at Nigeria today. People are doing online education, and a lot of our younger people are at home. And it's so bad and so sad at such a time like this, where a lot of our young people are involved in Big Brother Africa and pay money to satanic whatever that doesn't give them the best of impression. So I'm asking, how can number one, get a better organization, a viable organization where you can really, really express your passion? Then number two, how can I get an organization that will be able to support what we are doing here, looking at leadership issues among young people? That will be later, because we are hitting that in October 17th. Thank you very much for giving me time to speak.
Thank you, Edafe. Thank you, Edaye. Thank you so much. I would like to throw this open, would like to take it. Susan, Yemi, who would like to take each. I believe, Susan, you're saying you got something to say concerning that.
Yeah, I really have a lot of compassion for what you just shared. And, you know, the statistics are really unbelievable globally. People don't realize that it's 1 in 4 women have incest or rape. That is a statistic. And, you know, whether it's incest or rape or a trauma that one has, those things are indeed obstacles, but they're also the opportunity to break through to the death of oneself for a higher good. I know that sounds crazy, but just that process. And it is in the service, in the giving. I mean, you said it really well, Yemi. You know, it was really, it is in that service and giving back. So we all have a brokenness. I mean, that is a commonality. It's doubly hard for women because we have the role and the importance to hold the compassion and the love for family and for creation, and then be in the world at the same time. And that creativity is challenged and threatened. And we have to take those challenges and turn those into opportunities. Not an easy thing to do, but it's certainly that I think everyone faces in a different way. And the extremity of it is different, of course, to each person. And I just want to say that past that break, whatever that break is something else, is a greater love. And that love, the resources return in giving back and getting to know oneself through the intimacy of whatever you want to call your higher power.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have a little few minutes. Yemi, Sholoton, okay, over to you.
Yes, I wanted to salute Edaye Edison for his heart of service. We could see when he was asking his question that he has passion for what he's doing. I want to salute your commitment, your resilience, your resilience, because that resilience is what is needed sometimes when you have a goal, an end goal in mind, and you're looking at it, but it's so far-fetched. It's like it's so far you can't reach it, but you're resilient enough to believe in yourself, to believe in the journey that you're on. Now that is just that is psychological, but it helps on a daily basis for you to believe, to continue to believe, in actual fact, in what you're doing. And I greet you so much for that. Now, to answer your question about having, where do you find organizations to help you? I would say you look on the internet. Look on the internet for organizations that share the same vision as yours, because I want to tell you that it's not only you that will be working on such a vision or have the same or have the same mission. So you want to look for organizations on the internet that would be sharing the same vision and that you can work together. That takes me to the next advice for you is collaboration always works. It always works because that way you're not burnt out, you're not frustrated because you have another organization, you have other people that will be working with you, believing in the same cause that you believe in, you know. And I've had to do that many times because it's not easy. I'm sure Susan will believe that will agree with me that it is not easy to run a non-governmental organization by yourself. You're doing it, sometimes you get burnt out, sometimes you just get tired, you get overwhelmed. But when we have a project that is making me to be overwhelmed, I reach out. You have to learn to reach out to other people. You have to learn to know that it's not about you, because in the first place, your heart of service is for the greater good. Okay, so it's not for you to shine. It's not for you to be famous. It's not for you to be in the limelight. It's not about you now, but about benefiting the community, the society at large. And so you want to look for collaborators. Collaborate with DoTheDream, collaborate with other organizations, partner with bigger organizations, write to them, come from the angle of giving. When you come from the perspective of giving, somebody's going to be willing to say, you know what, okay, we're ready to come on board. Look at all these great people that are on this platform today. They are here, we are here because DoTheDream team, they reached out to us. They were willing to collaborate with us. And so I would advise that you use those 2 points, search for organizations that share the same vision as you do, and also be ready to partner with them, to collaborate with them. It would take your message farther than you think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I believe I would like Mr. President to say 1 or 2 things concerning this also.
Yeah, and I was going to add very quickly to that as well, what both Yemi and Susan have said. One of the key things you need to think about, collaboration is good, and you also need to understand that sometimes it might not be the right time for them to collaborate with you, but it doesn't mean, it's not going to happen. So sometimes no means you haven't been able to fulfill something they want, Sometimes no means no, this is not something we're looking to support because we have something else that we support it. And sometimes no means this is not the right time, But besides that, you also need to start thinking when you want to collaborate with something, with someone, with people, with organizations, you have to think about what's in it for them, because but if you're collaborating with them, you're collaborating with them because you either have a mutual goal that you're working towards, but they're giving up something to collaborate with you. It could be time, it could be money, it could be any type of resources. So you have to think about what's in it for them, because you have to respect their time. You have to respect the fact that they're going to give up something to work with you to achieve your goals. So what's in it for them? Think about it from that angle, not always what's in it for me, because doing something for people, doing something for a community, doing something to help is not always about you. It's not always about what you want to get out of it. The fact that you're doing something for people and they're able to get something out of it, you're able to see the result. I think for me personally, that's an achievement, and that, gets me happy. It gets me out of bed in the morning if I know that whatever I'm doing for someone is going to help that person. So it's not always about what I'm going to get out of it. My satisfaction comes from helping. And so when you're working with people, when you're collaborating with people, you have to take it that you're putting in effort because of, you're getting satisfaction from helping people see results. You're helping people get better better, you're helping people progress. But what going to reach out to support you? And is it the right time for them? You know, is it that maybe they have something else that they're doing and you also need to support them to achieve their goals as well? This is mutual. You have to think about it from a mutually beneficial standpoint. I hope this helps.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Nelson, are you here? Because our next speaker is the CGPS Education District 5, Oludaro Kilola. While we're waiting for us to come on, I'd like Nelson to say one or two things about Workload NG. Can you hear me, Nelson?
Yes, I can.
Over to you.
Yeah, I can. Okay, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I really want to appreciate everyone, all the speakers have actually spoken. Mrs. Yemi, I really enjoyed your section. It was very, very insightful. And one of the things I really appreciate is the fact we are talking about volunteering, because it's one thing that actually captured my attention the more. For me, I think what actually led me in, discovering Workload NG was why I was volunteering for a cause. I discovered that a lot of young people, most of them are one way or the other, some of them are very skillful, but the challenge is the fact that they don't really have the access to, to customers. They don't really have access to where to actually, sell their skills and all that. So we started, myself and my team started, start talking about hacking around solution about why can't we start creating a platform that can also connect these people to opportunities. And we discovered that Lagos State is pretty high in terms of population wise. And we see that a lot of states a lot of people use migrating from other states down to Lagos State. And in that regards, the population index is increasing. And other states is suffering from it. I will not thought of it like, what if we can create something that can help even people when you are migrating, there's data that actually guide your decision making and all that. So that actually led us to building, start working around Workload. So it's a social enterprise that connects local artisans to potential customers. Whether you're a shoemaker, you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, or whatever you have, the fact that you have one skill or the other, we connect you to the right markets. So likewise, we can say we are the Uber for artisans. Yes. So I actually want to chip in something regards volunteering. I think I started volunteering when I was in high school, and it has been a very life-changing experience for me. My first volunteering experience was when I volunteered with DoTheDream, and that was the first time of my life I got into contact with volunteering, and it was really insightful. It was really helpful, and learning from different people, learning from having access to opportunities, because it's one of the things that connects you to a lot of endless possibilities, because you end up seeing people that can actually change your life. I met most of my team members while volunteering. I was also a YDI alumni. I also last year I volunteered with VSO, Volunteering Service Overseas, where we actually went to Enugu State to we underwent through a pro school. It was life-changing experience, and that was a cross-cultural settings where I actually worked alongside with some UK volunteers and also some Nigerian volunteers. So for me, I think it's not, a lot. I was looking at some of the questions that a lot of people were asking about. I feel that sometimes you don't know the value you get until you take a leap, that step in, trying to see what you can benefit from it. The benefit is endless. It just depends on what you want. Why am I even volunteering? Why am I doing what I'm doing? It's not just about I'm doing it because my friends are doing it. I'm doing it because I just want to do it because people are doing it. I've been in talk with a lot of young people that tells you, oh, I need, I'm looking for work, I'm looking for this and all that. I felt that the moment you keep yourself, like the moment you can, render your services, selflessly to the world and to nature and to humanity, contribute your quota to ensure that you contribute to the SDG goals. I feel the reward is endless, because you meet a lot of people who are definitely going to change your lives, people who are going to align your path and help you to become the better version of who you are. So that's why I encourage young people out there, try as much as possible. Don't look at the fact that I don't really have, somebody was saying, I don't really have transport. How do I talk about the logistics? I could remember when we volunteered, we did a dream. I know how far we can trek distance just because we wanted to just for a cause. And we know what we are doing because we have a vision. We know that this is what we wanted. So ensure whatever you do as young persons, try as much as possible to have a vision of what you are doing, to have an end goal. What am I even doing this? What's my purpose? Am I doing it because I want to satisfy people, or am I doing it because I want to learn in the process? So I feel the moment we can actually understand those things, to actually help our decision process and also help our learners. So I feel this is one of the things that actually helped me a whole lot to go through this process. Elumelu Foundation, going through the Forbes, I was Workload was listed among the 200 companies that was selected for the Forbes Accelerators program. Going through the Elumelu Entrepreneurship Foundation program and all that. So I got all this. Okay. I'm sorry. Look, let me turn on my camera. I got all these through volunteering and my experience and exposure with a lot of young people out there. So it's just kind of me encouraging people out there to please take every little opportunity you have, volunteer for a cause. Mrs. Yemi has actually nailed the whole thing. Give your services, ensure you do. I was so shocked when after when I volunteered with Do the Dream, I went for the VSO. The next thing, I got selected for the Total Startup Art Challenge. I was among the 15 finalists in the whole of Nigeria for the program, and it was endless. I really appreciate everybody who had actually contributed, to Mr. Tayo, to Mr. Toyin, for every for the contribution and all that. So I really want to encourage young people on the platform, please try as much as possible to to put efforts in whatever you are doing. Ensure that you have a focus. Ensure you give your services and you're ready to to make that difference, to make that change you want to see in the world. I just feel that everything we are doing start with you. If you don't take that step, nobody's going to change you if you don't change yourself. So you just start from you and you only. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelson. Is that awesome? Thank you for that. Thank you for that beautiful session of yours. So happy. Nelson is one of our great men. We met him 10 years ago, and he has been doing awesome things. One of the key things, he didn't tell you what he won. Your gift. You're still going to tell the whole house your gift from those. Thank you. Our time is fast spent now. We have 3 things to do. Mr. Sami Pikala, we can see you after your session is coming on. But we have the Tutor General, Education District 5 session now. And the personality of Oludara Okelola should be presenting now. Over to you. Are you ready for us?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon. International Youth Day is an annual celebration by the United Nations Organization, which is slated for every 12th of August. The theme for this year is Youth Engagement for Global Action. It's a day that gives opportunity to celebrate young people's voices, their actions, and their initiatives. This year's International Youth Day seeks to spotlight the following. It's about youth engagement at the local and community level. It's about their engagements at the national level in terms of formulation of laws, policies, and implementation of these. Is about their engagement at the global level. That is, we are talking about youth at the state, at the national and at global level. But this year is a special year because of COVID-19, and it has a lot of adverse effects, of diverse effects on the youth this year. It has affected their movement. We know youth normally cannot stay in one place. And all over the world, schools have been shut down, and they are still being shut down. And our working class consists mainly of youth. They are affected. Therefore, to meet the SDG goals, the youth which are vulnerable should be focused on this. And Nigeria has done a lot to engage the youth for global actions through Government Initiative. We are youth and we have a lot of loans, training, skill aids. Lagos State, as a state in Nigeria, and more or less the area of Nigeria, is an inclusive state. It's inclusive in the sense that any youth in Nigeria is welcome to come to this state, and they know that, and they come in. It's a melting pot for all our youths in the country. And the moment they come in, they have access to free education, and invariably, most of the time, to free tuition. And even the Ministry of Youth and Social Development is also there for them to take care of their needs. And as we are talking now, we have employment of over 3,000 youths into our post-primary and primary teaching service commission. Through Teaching Service Commission and State Universal Basic Education Board of Lagos State. Lagos State students, and I'm here this afternoon. We are glad to be given the opportunity by Lagos State Government, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, through the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Omobola Adefisayo, to be able to be a vessel that will model excellence by communicating to the world the role Lagos State is playing in creating an environment that works for our youth. The Lagos State government values youth, and is imperative to create best practices in all ramifications through the foundation's delivery. And as we all know, the theme for the year is Youth Engagement for Global Action. The Lagos State government's themes agenda, which is THEMES, includes, which is the present administration's development and strategic agenda. The T stands for traffic management and transportation. The H, health and environment. E is education and technology, which we are concerned with. The N, making Lagos a 21st century economy. E, entertainment and tourism. And the last pillar, security and governance. The basic core as relates to our youth is about education and technology, which is basically youth-driven. We all know that our youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Therefore, there should be solid educational foundation for them, with a bias for STEM and technology of basic concern to Lagos State. The strength of a nation are the youth, and the much reason why we have to pay attention to them from the beginning, from the foundation, which Lagos State is trying to do now. Education is the best influence that gives people opportunity to live. It is that opportunity to impact millions of people daily from where you are with who you are. This is why every young one who will become a global phenomenon must value education, which is the fourth goal of sustainable development, thereby leading to decent work as well as equality, which is goal 5 of SDGs. Education has to do with the enlightenment of the mind. Through schooling, you are inspired to process your thoughts that is communicated to you through education. This is why the leadership of education in our various schools must be in touch with reality in order to inspire greatness in the nation. Education today must be tailored to inspire the totality of man, which is what the future entails. What matters most is how do you see yourself? The most important is who you are. The you inside of you is the most important factor that is needed for global action. The you, that inner man, that inner self in you. Lagos State is a step ahead in giving voice to the youth through nurturing. The state is also inspiring the young ones to dare more and activate their dreams in becoming the global phenomena. In achieving more as a team, the administrator will not be left behind in achieving these goals through the needed capacity building programs, through making the youth compete globally. We find the great effort of the Honorable Commissioner for Education towards youth engagement for global action with great focus on education, which is goal 4, goal 5, gender equality, goal 8, decent work, and goal 10, reduce inequality through our tutor generals and the permanent secretaries who are in charge of our schools and invariably our students. And you know, it's the schools that churn out the future generation of any country. And that's what we are doing at our end. The Commissioner for Education is a leadership that listens, that is supportive, that is inspiring. It's a leadership that caters for the welfare of our youths. It's a leadership that is passionate about education, that wants greatness to be the watchword. It's a leadership that follows administration's themes in making Lagos a smart city. Like as we are talking now, through the Commissioner for Education, there's an app that was launched last week for our SS3 students. We call it the Smart Box app. With this Smart Box app, our SS3 students who are starting their exams next week, Monday, they have access to past questions for the past 15 years for them to be prepared in all the subjects that they are going to write. So that means any child, whether you are from a poor home or from a rich home, you already have this smart box, this app that opens you up to let you know what you are looking forward to or what you are likely to encounter in your exam. So that's Lagos State for you. We are opening our children, our students, our youths, we are catching them young, to be able to compete globally and to be able to hold their heads. And we are ready for them to be able to stand. We have done it before together. If we stay together and increase our commitment more, following the rules without allowing self-interest come first, we can achieve more together for our students, for our staffs, for our districts, for education in Lagos State, as well as inspiring the administration's themes in which education is a theme. We have ICT training. We have a lot of cases, a lot of avenues where even our teachers, our principals, our staff, they are being trained in order to compete globally, in order to hold their head. Like the ICT labs in most schools, they are functional and they are being engineered They are being trained to be able to stand, to be able to compete, to be able to hold their head anywhere in the world. All those things they are being exposed to. And most of the time, Ministry of Education, we work with the Ministry of Science and Technology to get the best out of our children. And even through STEM, STEM has to do with science, technical, engineering, and mathematics. And even our students are being encouraged, our girls are being encouraged that the fact that you are a girl child does not mean that you cannot be the best you can be. Thank you. God bless you.
So much. Thank you so much, the Tutu General, Education District 5, Mrs. Oludara Okelola, for that wonderful and awesome presentation. For that wonderful and awesome presentation. We love you. Basically, she was just telling us. Basically, she was just telling us about what Lagos State is doing to inspire youth, to prepare youth towards global action. In as much as we know that we're going to have thousands of youths that will be taking leadership, their foundation is important for Lagos State. Thank you so much, so much. Now we are going to Finland. We're going to Finland now. Sami, are you there? Hello, Sami, Sophia, are you?
Yes, hello.
Are you with us? Hello.
Hello, Adebusi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very good. So first of all, thank you to Adebusi and DoTheDream Initiative for organizing this webinar on the occasion of International Youth Day. Engagement of youth for global action is highly important, especially when speaking about sustainable development and reaching the SDGs by 2030. I would also like to thank previous speakers for their thought-provoking and very inspirational speeches. I have been asked to speak about the 2030 Agenda and how it is implemented in Finland. The 2030 Agenda is, as we know, the global agenda for sustainable development. But what is the essence of sustainable development? Is it to reach all the SDGs by 2030? Yes, it is also that. But essentially, the aim of sustainable development is to ensure human well-being within planetary boundaries. Human well-being within planetary boundaries. Now, if we look at the world as it stands now, human well-being does not materialize in all countries. We still have poverty, hunger is on the rise globally, and decent work conditions do not apply in all countries over the world. Just to mention a few problems. And we know that the COVID-19 pandemic is causing further stress on these and many other issues that affect human well-being. And then at the same time, we are overusing our natural resources and exceeding several planetary boundaries. Carbon dioxide emissions are too high, biodiversity is declining, and seas are overfished. Again, just a few problems to be mentioned. The SDGs are our joint response to these challenges. The SDGs exist because there is a common understanding of global problems and because we have the United Nations as a forum for fostering cooperation between countries. If we reach all the SDGs by 2030, we are one step closer to our goal, which is human well-being within planetary boundaries. The SDGs are specifically important to youth because the future of our youth will look much brighter if we reach the SDGs. But at the same time, reaching the SDGs will be very much in the hands of the youth. The youth is not an object. The youth is the force that is shaping our future. RWC, as an organizer of this webinar, has invited Finland to share our national experiences specifically on the SDGs on education, gender equality, and decent work. So I would now like to share with you some of our experiences on these topics. So first, about the implementation of SDG 4, quality education. I would like to make 3 points about education in Finland. First, in Finland, education is free of charge. This applies to all citizens from pre-primary school to universities. The fact that education is free of charge makes it possible for anybody, notwithstanding his or her family background, to study and even get a university degree. Second, the educational attainment in Finland is at high level. The proportion of people aged 25 to 64 who have completed primary and lower secondary education is over 80%, and the proportion of those who have completed vocational qualification is almost 80%. Also, participation in adult education is at high level. About 50% of people aged 25 to 65 take part in adult education in Finland. Thirdly, quality differences between schools all around the country are very small. All primary and secondary schools are of high quality. This means that young children, when they start school, go to the school that is nearest to their homes, and parents can trust that their children will get good quality teaching at the school nearby. But despite this very good overall situation in education, we also see some problems in Finland. Our key problem is, at the moment, the difference in learning results between boys and girls and between children from different family backgrounds. The situation is such that girls are getting much better learning results than boys. In Finland, we aim at reaching a situation where every children, despite her gender or family background, would get equally good learning results. But at the moment, we are moving to a wrong direction on that. And now, speaking of gender, I will move to SDG 5 on gender equality. Finland's gender equality situation overall is good. We are in the top 5 in many international gender equality rankings, like the ranking of the European Institute for Gender Equality or the Global Gender Gap Index of the World Economic Forum. So in most fields of life in Finland, it doesn't make much difference whether you are a man or a woman, a boy or a girl. But this good overall situation does not mean, it does not mean that we would not have gender-related problems. Our current challenge or challenges include violence against women and domestic violence, as well as gender equality issues in the field of work. There is still a gender pay gap. Women are earning 16% less than men. The labor market in Finland is also highly segregated, meaning that men tend to be overrepresented in certain occupations and women in others. And also, fathers only take about 10% of family leave time. And now this leads me into the SDG 5 and to decent work. As today is the International Youth Day, I think it is appropriate to look at youth employment. Youth unemployment as we know, is a global problem, and it is also an issue in Finland. During the recent years, we have, however, succeeded in reducing the number of young people not in employment, education, or training from 15% to 12%. Even 12% is too much, but not too bad a level internationally compared. One policy measure that explains this improvement in youth employment in Finland is the Youth Employment Guarantee, which was adopted in Finland in 2013. Youth Employment Guarantee means that all young people aged under 25 and all graduates under 30 will be guaranteed a job or work trial, traineeship, workshop, apprenticeship, or rehabilitation placement. Another factor behind increased youth employment has been the overall economic growth and overall growth in employment. Finland has been able to increase the overall employment rates to 73% last year. If we look at the work life in Finland more broadly, Finns are quite satisfied with their work life. Slightly over 30% of Finns consider their work physically demanding, and about 60% of Finns find their work mentally demanding. According to the National Working Life Barometer, 84% of employees feel that they can learn new things in their workplace. Also, the opportunities to influence one's own work tasks are on a quite high level in Finland. At this point, I think I have taken the time allocated to me in this webinar. Finland presented its VNR, the report on our national progress on SDGs, to the United Nations in July. So if you want to know more about our work on SDGs, you can find these reports from the United Nations webpage, from the HLPF webpage. It will explain in detail the issues I have talked to you about and much, much more. Next, I would like to give floor to another Finn, Miss Sofia Savonen. In 2017, we established a National Agenda 2030 youth group that brings the voice of youth to the national work on SDGs. Sofia is the current chair of this Agenda 2030 youth group, and she has promised to speak about the engagement of youth for the promotion of sustainable development in Finland. For my part, once more, I would like to thank you for this great event. I would like to finish with a personal advice to all youth. When I started my work career at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs 20 years ago, I was amazed to understand that it was just ordinary people making all important decisions in the ministry. Ordinary people with no higher intelligence or better understanding of the world than myself. And this is my message to you. You have all the knowledge and qualifications. You just need to trust yourself, roll your sleeves, and get the things right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sami. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Now, over to you, Sophia. Over to you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me all right.
Can hear you.
Great. Thanks for the floor. My name is Sophia Savonen, and like Sami said, I am the current chair of our Agenda 2030 youth group. I was very moved by all the things that you've said, you people have said during this event, and I just want to start by saying that I think it's absolutely right that to say that motivational words for young people are not enough, and we need to actually engage young people and let them do part of their work as well, instead of just telling them that you can do it someday. So I'm going to start by telling a little bit more about our group in general, and then about what we do, and part of the reasons why our group was created as it is now. And I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have at the end of my speech. So what are we in this youth group? So we are around 13 young people from different backgrounds, ages, and different places in Finland. And we work together to spread knowledge of sustainable development to young people, but also to ensure that the thoughts of young people are reflected in the implementation and policies that regard sustainable development. So we are kind of a two-way communication device. On the one hand, to bring young people the information that we get in a way that engages young people and makes them feel that they've been informed correctly, but also to bring the thoughts and ideas and worries of young people to decision makers and those actually shaping the policies and implementation. So what we do broadly is that we work together with government organizations and civil society. We have many connections to different civil society organizations, partly because many of the members of our group are already working or volunteering with these organizations, but also because we share the same values. We all care about sustainability and sustainable development, but also about youth engagement and youth rights. And our group was created to actually answer to the question how we can engage young people, how can we get young people interested about sustainable development. During the creation of our group, there was this need to actually involve young people. I think there was a study conducted which showed that one of the key groups that hasn't yet felt very engaged with sustainable development was indeed young people. And to fix this, this group was created as I think, and I believe fully that, you know, without having ownership of something, you can't really engage it with it as well as you maybe could if you did have the ownership. So you can understand it this way, that if you tell a young person that, hey, you should care about this topic, they are not very likely to actually care about the topic in a deep way. But if they have something of their own at stake, for example, in young people's case, it is our future. We are going to live our whole lives on this planet, and the way that we conduct sustainability policies and other policies as well directly affects the rest of our lives. And if this is made clear, and if we actually have the idea of, okay, this is something that I need to do for my own sake, it is a very strong power to actually encourage people to act and to take a step towards acting and creating a better world. And so our group was created to fix this problem, and I personally think that it's done a very good job in that. It has engaged a lot of young people from different backgrounds, which is also important, in my opinion, that we have young people who come from very, very different realities. Some from the north of the country and some from the south. They can have very different lives. So I think that engaging a wide young audience is very important in trying to make sure that everyone is engaged, everyone can actually access all of the opportunities that are present, and then work towards sustainable development. Right, so I think that was a decent summary about our group. Now, if you have any questions, I hope I can answer. You may ask them about youth engagement in Finland or our group specifically.
Thank you, Sophia. Awesome presentation. Thank you for that. So explicit and so unique. Thank you. Over to you, Nelson. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much. Sophia is asking, do you have a question for them?
Okay, for now, not really.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a question. Somebody is asking. Yeah, just a minute. Saw a few minutes ago. The things now. Is there a connection now? Okay, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I said, is there a connection between your educational system and the growth of your group?
Well, our youth group isn't directly connected with any educational institution. It is actually managed by our national youth organization called Allianssi. Allianssi gathers young people to actually take part in this group, but it's not directly affiliated with any of our schools or universities or vocational institutions.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I, oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, you can go on.
Yeah. So I see that there's a question in the chat about how to identify the participants for the youth group. So like I said before, our youth group is very diverse. We have people who have previously worked in different organizations or are current volunteers in organizations. But we also have in our group, it is very important to not only get those people who are already engaged in many organizations and many activities, but also those to whom this is maybe the first time they are actually doing volunteering or such, because this gives us a very wide perspective on how to engage those with our message, to engage those who aren't in any established organizations or aren't necessarily doing any volunteer work or anything, because I think it's very important that we take into consideration that not everyone has the same opportunities to participate in volunteering. Even though we have the wonders of the internet and Skype calls and everything, it is still not completely the same, especially outside of Corona and all, from a periphery to participate in the activities of, for example, our capital.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you. I'd like to know about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Okay. I think those were all of the questions. No?
All right. I would like to hand you over to Oluwatoyin Arumi right now, the teammate of Do the Dream, for further interaction. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, definition. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's actually one more question there. is from Marian. She said her question is for Sami. The Finnish education is quite a high standard compared to the rest of the globe. What is the correlation between the disparities in the work sector? So I guess she's referring to the level of education compared to the work sector, people who, at work.
Male and female.
Yes.
Male and female. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for this question. At the moment, the situation is such that these disparities, gender disparities, also exist at the field of education. So the fact is that in Finland, there are certain fields of education that are more popular between males and some other, which are more popular among women. For example, technical field is more popular for men, and then the some other fields are more popular for women. For example, there are more teachers that are women in Finland, and also in the social sector, there are more women already at the stage of education. And these differences then move into the work life, and also keep up these existing disparities and keep this existing gender pay gap as well. So it comes from the already from the stage of education, and the fact that there are certain fields that are more popular among women, and some other fields that are more popular among men. And we should be able to change that to affect the existing gender pay gap. This is one key problem and reason for this gender pay gap at the moment in Finland.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you. Thank you.
I think first, it's been a very, very wonderful event. We've got lots of wonderful people today who have joined this event, and I really, really appreciate everyone who's made it, to this event. I appreciate all the speakers. I appreciate the time to be able to present this wonderful and informative, valuable session to all of us and all the youths. Even for answering all those questions, very wonderful questions, some of them tough, some of them inspiring as well. I really appreciate all of that. And though we've run over by 2 minutes, so I'd also like to apologize that for running over by 2 minutes late. I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank you for taking time to join us in this session. I hope all the youths who were able to join us have something valuable to take with them, that they can go back with, and to be able to share with other people as well. The session will continue tomorrow as well, with some more wonderful speakers joining us. And I hope I'll be able to see some of you here tomorrow joining us for this session. A final word from me to all the youth is, look for an opportunity to be able to render valuable service, to yourself and to other people out there. There are many things that we all can do to support this great cause. And sometimes it's not always easy, but, like we all said, look for a way to volunteer. Think about what's in it for everyone. Think about how you're supporting other people out there, with what you're doing. And I believe, with all the SDG goals, and how we're all aligning the youth towards achieving some of those goals, I believe the world would only be a better place, you know. And so on behalf of the entire member of Do the Dream, I would like to say thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the team leader of the Do the Dream. I'm so happy. Hello, just before everybody leaves today, can I have a final word? Just one word from each person. Suzanne, let's start from you. Just one word to close the event.
Oh, wonderful.
You said, I didn't pick that. Just one word from you.
Oh, okay. You got one word, right? One word?
Just one sentence.
Yeah, wonderful. I was going to say it's wonderful.
Okay, thank you so much. Yemi Shalaton, next over to you. Just one word.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then Sophia, over to you.
Oh, grateful.
Grateful. Hello, Marian. Let's have a word for you too. Thank you. Just a word for you.
Insightful.
Thank you so much. And every other person, DeWitt will be speaking tomorrow. Just a word from you, DeWitt. Just a word from you. Just grateful. Awesome. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. Thank you. And every other person, bye. Thank you. Grateful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
That was wonderful. Thank you, everyone. All speakers, well done.
Thank you so much. We've come to a wonderful edition of the fourth. We've come to the end of the first day. We've come to the end of this wonderful edition of International Youth Day, the first day. And I want to thank everyone that joined us in this beautiful event for your time. We appreciate you and would like that you join us same time tomorrow, 2 p.m. West African time, to continue the final session. Thank you and God bless you. I'm going to leave this open, so I'm going to be the last to leave here. Thank you so much and God bless.